Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I want to talk about an upcoming extraction shooter from Embark Studios called Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders is not a game that was initially on my radar. The first trailers and previews I saw of it were underwhelming, but then when I saw the gameplay, I was blown away. It's kind of the exact opposite of my experience of Marathon, which was being very impressed by their cinematic trailers and underwhelmed by the gameplay. I got exact opposite vibes here with Arc Raiders, hated the trailers, loved what I saw from the gameplay. I was also very happy to see that it was made by Embark Studios that also made the finals. A lot of former DICE devs there too. I loved the finals. I thought it was one of the most innovative FPS titles of the last couple of years. Really sad it didn't get a bigger audience, but moving on to why I'm suddenly interested in extraction shooters like Arc Raiders. Well, the short version is that I'm looking for a slower paced game to play than Call of Duty. Reality has set in upon me that at almost 40 years old, perhaps I am not a competitive FPS gamer anymore. Even though I want to be, my body just doesn't quite hold out the same, which is why I'm doing this commentary from the bed PC instead of the studio. Not sick today, just tired from doing physical therapy. So I'm kind of looking into playing some tactical shooters or extraction shooters or slower paced shooters so that instead of competing, I can just vibe in a game. I can just load into a digital world and kind of have some fun without having to sweat too much. And so far, I haven't found quite the right game to hold my attention. But Arc Raiders looks extremely promising. So promising, in fact, I wanted to do this early impressions video for you. So starting with graphics and aesthetics, I think both look nothing short of fantastic in this game. The aesthetics are a late 70s or maybe early 80s sci-fi futurism, which we would now call retrofuturism. It's kind of like the world ended in 1982 and everybody's just been scavenging and remixing old technology out there. The game has an apocalyptic vibe to it that's a lot like the Fallout series, or as some people said, more like PUBG and Tarkov had a baby. So you've got a whole bunch of really high-tech gear, but it's all really badly run down. Even the guns that your character uses are largely scavenged and clearly piecemealed together from other weapons. Everybody in the game has some sort of homebrewed weapon that they're using. And the same is true of the armor, of the outfits, of the gear, and the backpack, and everything else that's going on in the game. And the world of Arc Raiders is a world that runs on recycled technology, and finding functional high-end tech is worth more than gold. The graphics do a really good job at complementing this aesthetic by keeping everything feeling somewhat real, even though it is a fantasy-scape game, but the dust all over the world, the sand blowing in the wind, the decay and rust and dynamic weather system with fog and rain, and just the overall grime and decay add up to something that looks beautiful in an apocalyptic fantasy sort of way. And technically speaking, the graphics are also just generally good. It's a very pretty game. It's hitting a lot of very nice technical bars here, and from everybody that I've talked to, the game also seems very well optimized for PC. I can't speak for console, but the PC players seem to say that it runs quite well, which I gotta say is not very surprising to me given how good the finals looked and how well that game was optimized. I expected nothing less from Embark. Story-wise, Arc Raiders takes place in a post-apocalyptic far future Earth that seems to have experienced an apocalypse, we'll say sometime in the 80s. And that apocalypse is Arc robots raining down from the sky to hunt down and kill humans. The Arc robots have been hunting humans for years, and unsurprisingly, the human population is dwindling. Most humans live underground and are just kind of struggling to survive, but you don't play as a regular civilian. You play as a raider. Raiders are among the brave few survivors who are willing to go to the surface and scavenge for supplies. They're heroes in their community, putting their life on the line every day so that everybody can eat and have goods and services and clothing and other things like that. So, like most extraction shooters, residents of the underground survivor colonies will give you various quests to complete in the world above with varying levels of rewards. As a raider, it's your job to come back with the highest value goods possible, and your biggest enemy is Arc, the deadly machines that rain down from the sky and pillage the surface of the Rust Belt, which is where your character is playing. So you can fight them, but it seems more common to just try to sneak past them They're more like a stealth type threat instead of a you have to kill all these bots to clear the area. But there are other players too. You can indeed fight other raiders because some of the other raiders might just want your gear. So it's PvPvE, a lot like Marathon and a lot like a number of the games that I struggle with. I do know that the upcoming alpha, which as of the time this video comes out should already be available. You can just request access on Steam or on the Embark website. But it's got 3 maps. It's got Dam Battlegrounds, which is described as the Alcantara Power Plant, or the Dam. It once served as a crucial raider stronghold during the bitter closing battle of the First Wave, and even now these toxic waterlogged lands remain a hotspot for ARC skirmishes. The second map they're offering us is a Buried City, which is amongst the sand dunes in the arid wasteland. Buried City is a remnant of the old world, quite unlike the steel spires of the Exodus age. You can now walk around the narrow streets and empty plazas where people once lived. And then finally, the last map that we get a little teaser of in this alpha test is the Akera Spaceport. It's described as a majestic testament to humanity's past ambitions. Akera Spaceport is where the Exodus shuttles, which are vessels of hope and desperation, once roared into the heavens, leaving a beleaguered Earth behind. So we've talked a lot about the game and not the gameplay. And let's move into talking about the gameplay because that also got me excited. It is a third-person, over-the-shoulder style extraction shooter, but you can at least swap shoulders to get different perspectives at least. I think that works better in this kind of game because you can see your character a little bit more. When you're doing first-person, that gives a little bit more hardcore vibes to me, and you also miss out on some character customization. So I think the third-person was a good choice here. It's got a lot of the extraction shooter staples, such as losing your gear when you die, needing to choose the right gear for the right raid, third-partying from other players if you're fighting the bots, needing to exfil, needing some amount of time to rummage around in the bins to identify the objects, and filling your backpack with more stuff than you can ever hope to carry. So kind of standard extraction shootery stuff. A single round is limited to 30 minutes in length and tends to get more lethal as the round goes on. And if you are completely broke in this game, or just exploring, or you don't want to take a lot of risk, you can always deploy with a free loadout. The gear in this loadout will be inferior to the good stuff you've looted elsewhere, but it's a good option when you don't want to risk your best stuff getting stolen by somebody else who just waited for you to fight bots, I suppose. That's the number one thing I'm afraid of in this game. You also have a safe pocket too, which supposedly keeps your loot secure even after you've been down. There is a crafting mechanic in the game, which there should be for any kind of extraction shooter. It gives you a reason to pick up all the junk on the map. A skill tree to unlock, a lot of leveling, a lot of grinding, and the actual combat plays a lot like your standard over-the-shoulder shooter. Think Gears of War, but somewhat more grounded in realism, i.e. slower. It's like Gears of War if it were slower and a lot less hardcore. You have your shields, you have your health, you have your squad tactics and stuff. It shouldn't feel too different. It's not that radically innovative of a shooter in terms of its shooting mechanics. One of the things that I was pleasantly surprised by is that the AI is mostly something that you can avoid instead of being forced to hunt down, and that seems to be a decision that a lot of people make because it's quite deadly. It's not often worth it to fight the AI. So instead of having bots that you have to farm, or AI that you have to kill, or take down the Archon Priest one more time, or whatever in the world, for the most part it seems that you can choose to avoid these, or treat these as like existential threats, which sounds kind of fun. And leveling up your character also means some of the hidden story and lore of the game will be unlocked as you complete missions and build relationships with people in the settlement, etc., etc. In terms of vibes, the vibes for Arc Raiders are extremely positive for me right now. Pretty much everybody that I've talked to that's played it also has very positive vibes, and they all seem to have enjoyed it quite a lot. The gameplay and everything that I've read about it online so far also has me very excited. I'm hoping that finally, maybe, this can be the extraction shooter to hook me, to make me addicted, to make me want to play these types of games, but I do have some lingering concerns. I hope that this game doesn't turn into a bug smashing fest. I don't want to play Arc Raiders and have to load in and kill the same boss over and over and over again with more or less health or speed or different little variables turned on, because that's very boring to me. I talked about this in the Marathon video a lot, so I'll keep it short here, but I don't get any satisfaction out of killing AI. It just has never felt rewarding to me, and I'm definitely more of a player hunter kind of guy. I just like killing people. I don't know why. AI doesn't quite do it for me. And I know that this game is an extraction shooter, so I'll have to fight some of the AI, and there will be some third partying, but I would prefer that to be a less common experience instead of 3 times per match. I would like to make that an experience that I choose to have instead of one that I'm forced to experience over and over and over again. And I also hope that this game can find a big enough audience to maintain support from Embark. The finals peaked at 480,000 players and is now down to 12,000 active players, but Embark says that's enough to continue to support the game for up to 2 more years. I hope the same is true of Arc Raiders. So I don't suppose Arc Raiders will require a massive amount of people to stay online and stay a functional game, but I do hope that's the case. And I hope that Embark can get enough hype on this one. This is, again, one that just fully slid under my radar. I was only barely aware of it. The trailers looked not interesting at all, but then the gameplay was quite good. So I'm hoping that more people hear about this. I'm hoping there's an effective marketing campaign, and I hope it's a successful game. I might actually be streaming it here in a couple of days. Guys, that's all for this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.